Yes, the Economic Community of West African States, Ecowas, was described as a toothless bulldog that can't and not bite. But the regional bloc now wants to back and bite. Head of states and governments of ECOWAS have called on the coup plotters in the Republic of Niger to reinstate President Mohamed Bazoum within 7 days or be forced out by military action. In the communique issued after the emergency extraordinary meeting in Abuja, read by the ECOWAS Press Commission, Omar Taure, leaders rejected any purported resignation by Bazoum and declared him as the only recognized president by ECOWAS, the African Union, and the international community. Let's share the story with you.
Strong sanctions expected to strangulate the government of the coup plotters in Niger Republic have been announced by ECOWAS. The coup in Niger is a setback to recent efforts made by the regional body to strengthen democracy and reject all forms of military takeovers. President Bola Tinubu, as chairperson of ECOWAS, wants member countries to comply with the sanctions imposed and remain resolute until constitutional order is restored in Niger Republic.
Disrupting the democratic order has left the people in a state of uncertainty and vulnerability. I've briefed some of you about the actions that I've taken. I'm prepared to abide by all resolutions necessary to respond to this assault and to make sure that our colleague, the President Bazoum, is safe and that democracy is restored in Niger Republic.
The president of the ECOWAS Commission insists Mohamed Bazoum remains the legitimate leader of the landlocked West African country.
Resolve as follows. 1. His Excellency President Mohamed Bazoum remains the legitimate elected president and head of state of the Republic of Niger, recognized by ECOWAS, the African Union, and the international community. 2. Condemn in the strongest terms the attempted overthrow of constitutional order in Niger and the illegal detention of His Excellency President Mohamed Bazoum, President and Head of State of Niger, as well as members of his family and government. Call for the immediate release and reinstatement of President Mohamed Bazoum as President and Head of State of the Republic of Niger. In the event the authorities' demands are not met within 1 week, take all measures necessary to restore constitutional order in the Republic of Niger. Such measures may include the use of force.
There are fresh hopes that the regional body will find its teeth and bite. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.
Can we, at this time, the crisis in the Niger Republic, and Nigeria is not the Nigerian president is not the president of the chairman of ECOWAS. Can we afford the use of force in the Niger Republic?
We can afford, but is it desirable? That is the point, because I read somebody who said Niger is so big as a country. It's so big, but it's not everywhere that is inhabited by human beings. It's just like Chad. Chad is very big too. Mauritania is very big. All those countries are bigger than Nigeria in size. But can they confront Nigeria in a war? A lot of those places are full of deserts, nobody inhabiting them, you know. Niger is just like one of those countries, you know. I doubt if the GDP of Niger is bigger than the GDP of two Nigerian northern states, even their population.
Let's talk about Lagos.
Yes, no. Lagos is in a class of its own. Lagos is now is a country that in terms of population, Lagos is inching nearer even Ghana. At the rate Lagos is going, Lagos will eventually overtake Ghana in terms of its population. So, and already it's already a sub-regional economic power. That's Lagos. I think that these African leaders, these West African leaders, are worried about the fact that there are 16 countries in the continent, and
in the last 2 years,
in the last few years, we've had six coup d'etats. You should be worried.
Something is wrong.
You should be really worried. Anybody should be worried. Guinea, for example, where Asiwaju, best friend among African leaders, was Condé, the president of Guinea. He was removed in a coup d'etat and paraded through the streets. Then you had Mali. Before our eyes, Burkina Faso. Then Chad had always been a military, always been under military rule. They killed the president, and his son took over. What everyone thought would happen was a short transition. That promise was made, that it would be a short transition to civilian rule. We've been waiting since the death of Idris Deby. No transition to civilian rule has happened. This is the promise they always make, to fend off attacks, harassment by other...
Sanctions.
Yeah, so what we've seen is increasingly these soldiers are interested in political power. And when they see the slightest opportunity, they want to grab it. So now you see Sudan, the crisis happening in Sudan, a big country, strong militarily, but a lot of the weapons fell into the wrong hands. Now, those paramilitary guys are now fighting the entrenched military.
Yeah.
Junta.
Yes. So this is what is happening. So six states out of 16. And all of these states, if these things continue, it will get bad for everyone. I don't think that security, because the junta leader in Niger has cited security and all that. In these countries where these guys have taken power, what have they done to improve security? Mali, everyone knows that Mali is now a hotbed for Islamic State and the rest of them. They've lost control.
Yeah, they've lost control.
The failure of government.
The
failure of government is evident. Burkina Faso, the same thing. The terrorists are largely in charge. They are roaming. They are running rampant, and through them, weapons are coming into Chad, and from Chad coming into Nigeria.
Yeah.
A lot of them NATO-grade weapons.
Yes.
So we are not even. It's not good for us that we have such a situation
very close to us
on our hands. And some of the people who are calling for, some are even saying that what has happened in that the conditions in Niger were not different from Nigeria. Niger, as I've always said on this program, is a failed state where you cannot even say who is in charge here. People don't know what they are talking about. Niger has been a failed state, and I've been calling it a failed state at least since 2017. So it's not as if, these problems just began, or that with military taking over, the problems will just evaporate. No. So people should stop deceiving themselves. Be careful what you ask for. We can't ask for military rule in Nigeria at this time, except one is suffering from insanity. Those who witness military rule, they know the people that they lost. Some of us lost our good friends. So we don't want to go back. The people asking for military rule, some of them were not born at the time I'm talking about. Or they were in their diapers and did not know their left from their right. So they can talk about, they can fantasize about a utopia situation. No, they don't want military rule.
GKB, when you look at this situation now, ultimatum of 1 week has been given. One. Number two, we have this kind of influence around these Ecowas states.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have even cited that, look, it might even be this remnant of the Wagner Group influence coming across to this West African sub-region. And where we might have a problem down our neck if we embark on a military action.
Well, we've always had problems in the Sahel. And most of our northern neighbors are hotbeds the last 20 years. And one of the reasons, of course, is the fact that since the fall of Gaddafi, a lot of loose arms are available all over the West African sub-region. And with military government in Mali and some other states, this, of course, is bound to happen more. Personally, I think this is a failure of democracy in the subcontinent. Because you remember that 20, 25 years ago, all the rage was about return to democracy across this part of the world. And a lot of people just assume, like Kide said now, that this will translate to utopian tendencies, that this will just become better. But 20, 25 years later, the problems that were inherited were either still there, stagnating, or even getting worse. So a lot of people just see power as an avenue for personal aggrandizement, not for the good of the state. And Nigeria, of course, is in the catch-22 situation. We cannot allow things like this to happen so close to us. Yet, we do not have the resources to embark on full-fledged military might. Of course, we are. Of course, we are the power of Ecowas. So what we need to do now, which of course I'm very happy, because I don't know what the president will say at 7. But two things I see. One is the fact that they are not waiting for 7 days to impose sanctions. They've imposed sanctions. They imposed no-fly zone. So what they are trying to do basically is use the 7 days as a negotiating bait to ensure that these people complied, not by giving them room to wriggle out of. The danger, as we know, is that with a lot of non-state actors available for hire across the Sahel, this may turn out to be bigger than we are looking at the present. So what I expect to happen in my little experience in diplomacy is that while we are using the stick, Ecowas will continue to also look for a carrot.
And put pressure on you.
To put pressure on them to bring back that reality.
I think
Ultimately,
if you
look at that
remember
movement now,
what President Buhari was in a situation like this with Dawda Jame.
yes,
Dawda Jame, yes, he lost an election and he didn't want to leave. So, and Ecowas said, look, you've lost an election, leave.
No.
He wouldn't listen. They tried to talk to him, he refused. So Nigeria sent his air assets.
I think we also sent a ship.
Including the Alpha Jet. You know, if you send the Alpha Jet takeoff, it's an old plane, probably the oldest on the Air Force fleet now, you know, because it's been decommissioned even elsewhere.
In some countries, yeah.
The noise is deafening. So they sent them to the place. They were flying low over the presidential palace. By himself, he picked the phone and called our president. He said, I'm ready for talks. And they said, look, no problem. Since you are ready for talks, we will...
Not even our worship.
No, it's that noise. Especially when it's flying low. Tukano does not even have that kind of noise.
Psychological.
So that was meant to just break him.
The guy.
Yeah, so he said he was ready for talks. They said, okay,
Gambia
we
now.
will guarantee
Small.
a smooth passage for you. You can take some of your things from the palace. There will be any problem. And I understand that it was actually a private jet from Nigeria that was used to evacuate his things, and then
and he left the country.
He just left his country, and we were saved the problem that would have occurred
in that place.
So it's possible to intimidate these military guys and for them to be truly frightened. So I don't think anyone envisages a full-blown military action. Those guys, they can frighten them and they will say, okay.
Okay.